Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to my channel. Austin Ross here. Today we're gonna hang some tin on this 50 by 100 Indaco weld up kit building that we have been working on the past several weeks. If you haven't seen the first 4 videos, we'll put a link in the description so you can go check those out. One thing I'm gonna ask you to do is bear with us as we hang this tin. We made a lot of mistakes. I made a lot of mistakes, but we learned a lot. So grab your coffee, kick back, and get ready to learn. All right, it is now another day. Parker and I got this thing welded out yesterday. Now it is time to put some skin on. All right, it's the day to start skinning this thing. Parker, do we know what we're doing?
Absolutely not.
We're gonna learn though, ain't we?
Yeah.
We're fixing to take measurements of all this tin just to make sure, you know, we put all the right stuff in the right places. We'll see what happens. Try not to waste too much tin. All right, mistake number 1, here we go. So the first side that me and Parker put up all went great. First eave side, everything went decent. For Parker and I's first time doing this, we pre-drilled five sheets at a time. Everything went good. Then me and another guy started on the other side next day or a couple days later. We started putting up that next wall, and I didn't notice until we got a ways down there that the first 5 that we pre-drilled, I missed a hole. I was an inch short, I believe, on one hole where we couldn't see it. It was up like, you know, in between us, the guy on the top and me on the bottom. We couldn't see that we missed it. I didn't even know I missed it, got all the way down the wall. But before that, since Parker wasn't here this day, Slicko operator, I was operating the SkyTrack, and I ruined about 3 sheets because my fork got into the tin. Can't be too careful. So 2 screw ups, I'm sorry. Missed a hole and damaged some sheets. So that is why you're seeing a corner that is not finished, because those 3 sheets that we lacked, didn't get them all in because they got damaged. And then I'm gonna have to go back and replace the 5 sheets that I messed up at the very beginning. So this is just the start of the mistakes with this tin. Let me tell you, it's snowballed for old Austin. Hold up, wait a minute. I bet you're wondering why this corner is not filled in yet. Let's explain. Brace yourself. Get ready to learn. I'm fixing to tell you the whole snowball. I'm gonna tell you why this corner isn't filled in with tin. Then I'm gonna roll right on over to the next issue, and because that's literally what it felt like. It literally felt like, you mess one thing up with tin, and it's like something else is messed up. It's like a domino effect, snowball effect. So I'm fixing to roll the snowball down the hill so we can all learn, because that's what we're all about here, learning. My motto should be AROSSWELDING. We learn stuff the hard way. The reason that corner is not filled in with tin yet is because it was filled up with tin. We had tin on it, all finished up and everything. The only issue was we didn't have our walk-through doors installed yet. So therefore we didn't notice we forgot a piece, or I forgot a piece right above the walk-through door to screw your tin to. So our walk-through door was 100 inches tall, give or take, instead of like 83 inches tall, or whatever an average door is. We didn't notice it that same day. We got it all tinned and everything, and I felt good about it. That one end was covered, and I was like, if you notice, I didn't film this day of putting tin on this first gable end because I was in it. I was making phone calls. I was trying to make sure, get some advice on whether to start on the door end or the other end, or, whatever I should do. And I still messed up because of, forgetting to put a piece in whenever we welded this thing up. So anyway, we noticed it a couple days later. We were looking, and I think it was the day me and Parker come to install all the doors, because I made a phone call to the guy I'm working for, and the guy that subbed this job to me, and he said, yeah, we usually install the walk-through doors first, the J trim, and then put your tin on. And I said, oh, okay, all right. So I was like, Parker, next day we go out here, we're gonna install these doors before we go any further with our tin. And we get that first door installed, I think is when we noticed it. I said, oh no, I said, I forgot to put this overhead deal above the door. And Parker said, you know what that means? He said, that other end back there. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. I felt about that tall. And yeah, it just snowballed from there. So I wanted to pull that off that day after we got the doors installed. I went ahead and pulled that tin off and got on the phone and ordered some more tin, and oh man, it was just a disaster. Yeah, it's something I don't like to ponder upon, but I have to explain it so we can all learn from it. So anyway, forgot to put those in, and then whenever I was making those phone calls on that first gable end, Daryl from the road yard that I've talked about, that's helped me a bunch, I called him and I said, hey, is it easier to start on the door end, the walk-through door, or the other end? I said, is there a reason I should start on one or the other? He said, no, he said, it doesn't really matter. He said, back whenever I was doing it, he said, I always just started in the middle, put two sheets right in the middle, overlap two sheets, put two regular corner or lap joints together and go opposite directions. That way you ain't ever got to tuck anything. You lay over this way so the tins overlap separately from the center all the way out. And I was like, oh, okay, that sounds great. He said, but make sure you have enough tin. He said some of the kits that people put together, these other companies, don't send enough tin. He said, do you have 4 of each sheet? Because on the gable ends they send 4 of each sheet, because on your eave side it's short, and then the next sheet's, on a 312 pitch it's 9 inches taller, 9 inches taller, 9 inches taller, yada yada yada, rise over run. We can talk more about how to do that in the future if you do not know what I'm talking about. And I said, oh yeah, they sent 4 of each, without even going over there and counting. Why wouldn't you actually count all your sheets, Austin? Because you're optimistic and you think everything's gonna be all right. That's why. Literally, that's how my mind works. I'm like, it'll be all right, because I thumbed through there and oh yeah, there's 4 of each. There was only 2 of the tallest sheets, so therefore they did not send enough tin. But since I didn't count, whenever we were doing that first gable end, we took both of our longest sheets, slapped them up there, trimmed them, and just carried on. Finished our gable end. We get to the other end, and I was like, Parker, where's our other 2 longest sheets? I was like, this is weird. I was like, where are they at? And then it hit me, and I was like, I said, we used them both over there. Daryl asked me if there was 4 of each, and I said, yeah. Without counting, I just said, yeah. Yep. And so I had to order yet some more tin. So we got 5 pieces of tin with the holes drilled wrong. We got the 3 that I damaged with my fork. We got the 122 footer that I need for my peak on this other gable end. And then hopefully that's it, right? I made the phone call, ordered all that stuff. And then this is what I mean by snowball, what happened. Okay, so we got to that other end, went ahead and started the other end of the gable. Still not knowing which way you're supposed to start, whether you start in the center. I think we still thought you're supposed to start in the center because, or I think, if I remember right, I thought that maybe Indaco wanted us to start in the center, but you're supposed to take your longest sheet and put in the center and then go out this way and then go out this way. Because in my head, if I start in the center, my ribs will end up the correct distance at the end from the corners there. Because one thing I've learned, you want your ribs to end up close enough to the corner to where your rake trim covers up your rib. You don't want your rake trim to land on your rib because then your rake trim won't be square with your walls. So that's why I was thinking I needed to start in the center. So that's what I did. Well, on that very first sheet, it was at the end of the day. We hadn't got much done that day. And I was just going to rob from the roof sheets and then order a new roof sheet. So I went to stand that bad boy up. Parker was up in the man lift and I was just pushing. Mind you, 26-foot piece of 26 gauge tin, 5-foot tin Austin with maybe a reach of, what is that? I don't know, 7 foot or something. So 7 foot, it just doesn't add up, right? Well, my little determined mind up in here, and I'm just bearing on it, pushing, wouldn't go. So I just gave it my all and pushed it, and all of a sudden, I knew right then what had happened, even though it didn't cross my mind before that, but right then I was like, it buckled. So, there goes another piece of tin. So yeah, that was embarrassing. That was a terrible ride home. I was beating myself up, I mean, it's one thing to do it on your own projects, but whenever you're subbing for someone else and they're working for the customer, it's like you got two, like, I don't know, man, you just feel there's a lot of pressure there, Good for me, good for you, I mean, just learning all kinds of stuff, So from then on, me and Parker took a ratchet strap and put around it and clamped it to one side, and he pulled it up with a rope that way. So yeah, after 8, 9, 10, about 10 sheets later of sheet metal that I messed up, we plowed on through it. We got this thing skinned and we're ready for a roof now. My advice for this week is what I learned the most about hanging tin thus far is laying out where your tin's gonna be. I think if you lay out where your tin, just along the bottom of your building or whatever it is that you're doing on your roof, not only does that keep your sheet square, especially on the roof, it allows you to see where your ribs are gonna end up at your corners. It really all goes back to planning ahead, thinking ahead, in construction, I'll say, when it comes to building stuff, that's huge. If you can build something like a prototype almost, but like a drawing, that's why drawings are so helpful and everything. But if you can lay it out in the real world right there and see where everything's gonna be, you can change stuff before you ever make a cut. So that's my advice. That's what I would tell somebody if they were fixing to do tin for the first time, is laying out where your ribs are gonna be, but also laying out across the bottom and the top and making sure your sheets land on your line every time. That way you know that you're not gonna get to the end and you're not gonna have to taper a piece to make it, fill your gap or whatever. So that's what I learned, along with everything else I learned on this project. Tons of stuff I learned about, handling tin, being super careful with it, not pushing the limits so you don't buckle your tin. I mean, that stuff's not cheap. Tin is not cheap. So taking good care of it and moving at a slow and steady pace and not getting in a hurry. So, but another piece of advice I want to throw in here that I heard this week in a podcast that I've been listening to: find something that you're so passionate about and that you love doing, no matter what the pay. I mean, you love doing it so much that you're fixing to go do it for free for family members or for, just to get the experience. You're going to go do XYZ just because you enjoy doing it and you want to do whatever that is. Get so good at it that people want to pay you for whatever it is you're offering. That is my advice. I think there's so much power in that, because the last thing that I want anyone to do is be living life just to live, or just to, get that paycheck at the end of the week, dreading Mondays or dreading getting up the next day because you're going to work at some job that you don't enjoy doing, but it pays good. Find something that you're passionate about. So passionate about it that nobody else has to motivate you. You motivate yourself. Your passion is what's motivating you. That's what I encourage you to do. That may not be welding. Whatever it is that you want to do. Nowadays it is easier than ever to do what you enjoy doing and monetize it. Thank you all for watching, and remember, learn something every day.